In Tokyo, 1972, just after 7 in the morning, a foundation crew stands around a Caterpillar machine that has not moved in 3 days. A hydraulic line failed on Tuesday, and the replacement is nowhere to be seen. It's on the way, but nobody can say when it's arriving. The site boss, Tanaka, walks the edge of the lot with the work order folded in his pocket. Crew of 6 idle. Rental still running. $800 a day, gone. For 3 days and counting. He stops at the fence and watches the next lot over, where a 1-ton machine he has never seen before spins a full circle in a space his Caterpillar could not even turn around in. What Tanaka did not know, standing at that fence, was that within 15 years, it would be almost impossible to find an American machine on a Japanese site at all. The country he still thought of as an underdog in the industry had begun to outbuild the company that taught it the trade. The questions were how and who would be left standing when it was over. Start with how complete Caterpillar's hold was, because the fall only means something measured against it. For 2 decades after the war, the standard machine on a Japanese site was American. Caterpillar track-type tractors cleared rubble in Tokyo, cut roadbeds for the early expressways outside the major cities, and moved earth on the dam projects deep in the country. The D-Series bulldozer was the benchmark every Japanese engineer measured against, and the reason was reliability. A Caterpillar ran when a rival quit. That was the moat. But the moat had a soft edge. To sell in Japan at all, Caterpillar could not come directly. It entered through a joint venture with Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, signed in 1963, which meant the most dominant machine in the country reached its operators through a partner and a supply line that crossed an ocean. In 1964, a competitor decided to attack the moat at its strongest point. Not on price, but on quality. That competitor was Komatsu, and in 1970, it was about 35% the size of Caterpillar. Its new president, Ryoichi Kawai, did something a smaller company almost never does. He refused to compete on being cheaper. He imported total quality control. The discipline an American statistician named Deming had brought to Japanese industry and drove it through every line in the plant. He launched Project A, aimed squarely at the reliability of small and medium bulldozers, the exact ground Caterpillar owned. Within 3 years, Komatsu won the Deming Prize. The machines stopped failing the way they used to. If you enjoy this type of content, be sure to subscribe now to help us make more videos like this. Now back to the story. That is how the share moved, and it moved for a reason. Once a Komatsu bulldozer ran as long between breakdowns as a Caterpillar, Caterpillar's one advantage was gone, and everything underneath it now favored the local builder. The Komatsu cost less because Komatsu was integrating its own production and making its own parts in-house, squeezing cost out of every component. It was serviced from a depot in the next city, not a manifest from Illinois. Picture the yard of a mid-sized contractor outside Osaka, a winter morning in 1968. The owner has run Caterpillar machines for 15 years. He stands between 2 bulldozers, one yellow, one not, both idling, and he has spent the morning watching his own operators run each one across the same stretch of fill. The Komatsu costs less. It is serviced 40 minutes away. His best operator, the man he trusts more than any spec sheet, climbed down and reported it dug exactly the same. The owner built his whole yard on the yellow machine. Walking away from it feels like walking away from something that never let him down. In the reconstructed logic of that moment, the line he gives his foreman is plain. Order the next 3 from Komatsu. Not because the American machine was bad, because nothing was left for it to be better at. One yard does not move a market. But by 1976, Komatsu held about 60% of the Japanese market, and the Caterpillar joint venture held about 30%. In a single decade, the giant had become the minority. Here is why Caterpillar let it happen, and why the decision looked correct from Illinois. Caterpillar's profit came from large iron. One large track-type tractor or mining machine carried a margin that hundreds of small excavators could not match. Japan was a protected market reachable only through a partner, and the fastest-growing machine class there was the lowest margin product in the catalog. The executive deciding where the next engineering dollar went was not trying to lose Japan. He was defending the margin per machine that the market rewarded. A factory full of small, cheap machines drags that number down. A line of large ones holds it up. When the two goals conflicted, the margin won, and the growing half of the market was conceded one ward at a time. Caterpillar optimized the number it was graded on. If this is landing, the channel runs on it. Subscribe, and the next teardown of a dominant brand losing a market it owned reaches you on schedule. Back to the job site. Taking the bulldozer was only the first move because the bulldozer itself was becoming the wrong machine. Therefore, the real prize was the category replacing it. Japan's sites were urban, tight, packed with buried utilities, and a dozer that pushes earth in a straight line is useless on a lot the size of a parking space. The machine that fit was the hydraulic excavator. It sits still, slews a full circle, and digs with precision a blade never could. But hydraulics was a different kind of engineering, and the Japanese firms committed to it first. Hitachi had been building hydraulic excavators since 1965. Caterpillar's first hydraulic excavator, the 225, did not reach the market until 1972, 7 years behind. Therefore, when the Japanese site reorganized itself around the excavator, the Japanese builders already owned the product, and Caterpillar was the latecomer learning it. But the sharpest cut was the smallest machine. In 1971, a parts maker named Takeuchi built the first compact excavator, a 1-ton machine with a full slewing body that could work inside a residential foundation. That was the machine Tanaka watched through the fence. Therefore, the compact class became the default tool of the Japanese job site, and almost all of it was Japanese. Takeuchi, Kubota, Yanmar, Hitachi, Komatsu. But Caterpillar did not field a compact line of its own until 1998, 27 years after the category was invented. The root cause of Caterpillar's fall is not a headquarters that moved or a nerve that failed. It is narrower and harder to fix. Caterpillar was built, body and culture, around the mechanical drive bulldozer and the economics of large iron. Its engineers, its dealer training, its parts network, its entire idea of what a machine was, all assumed heavy equipment moving earth in bulk for a high margin. Hydraulics was a different discipline. Small hydraulics was a different business. High volume and thin margin sold to one contractor digging one foundation, not a fleet stripping a mine. Caterpillar could build that machine. It did not want to, because everything that made the company strong was organized around its opposite. The Japanese firms had no such weight to carry. They engineered for the site Japan actually had. The machines already on site kept working. A Caterpillar bought in 1970 did not vanish. It ran its hours and retired on schedule because fleets do not turn over overnight. But every new order went to Komatsu, to Hitachi, to Takeuchi, and Japan was gone. Today, Caterpillar designs its hydraulic excavators in Japan. At Akashi, the operation that grew out of the partner it once needed just to get in the door. The student now drafts the teacher's blueprints. And the discipline that won Japan did not stop at the water's edge. Quality first, hydraulics early, the small machine taken seriously, all of it became an export, until Komatsu stood as the second largest equipment maker on Earth, and the only company that has ever forced Caterpillar to defend its own ground. Caterpillar still wears the crown, Komatsu is the reason it has spent 60 years unable to set it down. What this story has not told you yet is which of these two companies put the first driverless haul truck to work in a live mine, moving ore around the clock with no one in the cab, years before the other caught up. It was not the American one. If you enjoyed this one, subscribe now so you never miss the next video. See you in the next one.